my Funatics, it's Fufu here, and today we're going to delve into week 5 of the PPL. This week I am playing Schady, a good friend of mine, and the only other person who is undefeated in the PPL, so this one is a huge week. It's massive. He's actually currently number 1 because his differential is better than mine. So this is going to be big. This is going to be really big. I want to get that number 1 slot back. I really want to beat Schady because I feel like he's definitely the best player in this league. Like, he's definitely the most experienced player, far more experienced than me in league format. Like, I've played one league and he's done tons. He obviously knows what he's doing because you can just look at his draft to see that. Like, he knows which are the best ones to pick, and he picked them. It's crazy. His draft is ridiculous. But anyway, I will be talking about the team building first, as I normally do, and then I'll go on to do the battle. So if you just want to watch the battle, skip to the time link in the description. I will leave there. While you look in the description, you may as well go and check out Shardi's channel, which I will leave a link to there. But yeah, if you want to find out what idea fish were swimming around in my head, then check out the team builder, because I will explain why I brought the things that I brought. So let's get into that now. Schady has a ton of threats. Like, it's so scary, and he can bring a number of different ones, and it's going to be hard to predict what he does bring. But looking at it, I felt like Lopunny was a big threat because my team is quite offensive, and Lopunny is a great check to offense. With the fake out and priority and things, it can really just stop any momentum that I have. And with its coverage and its power, it even really dents walls. I don't have amazing switch-ins. Like, even Talonflame, he can just bring a quick attack Lopunny, and that will be able to really hurt my Talonflame with fake out quick attack. So it's really scary. It's really scary. Like, obviously high jump kick does massive damage to Jirachi unless it's defensive, and even then it does massive damage to Jirachi. It's just a very, very scary Pokemon. I was really worried about it because I rely on a lot of my offensive pressure, and if I can't keep that on because Lopunny just like neuters it, that's going to be tricky. So I wanted something that was a really nice switch in on Lopunny, and the first thing that I thought about was Gourgeist. And then looking into it closer, because if I was going to bring Gourgeist, I wanted to be able to do more than one thing. As I said, Schady can bring multiple things, and I need to make sure that if he doesn't bring the one thing that the Pokemon I'm bringing is for, then at least it can still do something. And I felt like Gourgeist did actually do quite a lot this match. I've got a number of things that I can bring. I struggled to fit everything that I wanted to on this team. So I think that Schady will struggle to prepare for everything that I want to bring too, which is a good situation to be in. And I think Gourgeist might be one of the things he might overlook. But why I like Gourgeist so much this week is it's a really good switch in on Lopunny. It can spread around Will-O-Wisps, and I doubt that Schady is bringing a Cleric this week. Aromatisse is not good against my team. Fairies in general are not good against my team. They give me so much momentum because I've got 3 amazing switch-ins that are such huge threats in Nidoqueen, Talonflame, and Jirachi that come most weeks. So Fairies are just not a good idea, and I doubt that Shardy's going to be bringing it. So I can Will-O-Wisp around, get some really nice chip damage, which is great. Leech Seed, again, that's really good. It'll give my Gourgeist some longevity because I'm not actually running leftovers. I'm running Rocky Helmet because I want to get that residual damage on the Lopunny. Getting any chip damage on Lopunny is fantastic because it can be quite hard to take down because it'll just switch out if it's going to take any damage. So I thought that was really necessary. And then Seed Bomb being its only attack, Grass matches up pretty well against Schady. It means that I can do damage to a defensive Manaphy if that's what he brings. I'm not going to have this thing in on an offensive Manaphy, but with Leech Seed and Seed Bomb I'm doing over 50% to a defensive Manaphy, and it might not even run Scald, so if I don't get burned, this should be fine. If he is running Scald, I'm not sure if he would because I've got Guts Hariyama, which is an incredible switching on a defensive Manaphy with Scald. So I'm not sure if he I think Surf might be a better option for him this week, but he might run Scald. Even then, I'm getting good damage, keeping Manaphy low for a revenge later on. So I think this thing is going to be really good even if Lopunny doesn't come. Again, this thing could potentially take on Seismitoad. It does depend on the coverage Seismitoad has. If it has Ice Beam, then it's not great, but any other moves, it's probably can take it on very well. And I do think Seismitoad is coming because it's his best switch-in for a Tyrantrum. So anyway, I was really happy with this set. This was one that I didn't think Schady would necessarily prep for very well, and I thought that it could perform a number of roles, the main one really being a switch-in for Lopunny. So the next Pokemon I wanted to bring was Jolteon. This is because I wanted to check to the other huge threat. The two big ones for me were Lopunny and Manaphy. And this is to basically do massive damage to Manaphy. With this set, I do massive damage to Manaphy. It's really, really good for Manaphy. The issue with Jolteon is he's got a number of switch-ins. He's got, I think, 3 potential immunities to Electric. Those are the Seismitoad. He might want to try and keep that healthy if Tyrantrum's coming. He's got, so I could run Hidden Power Grass, decided not to because he's got Thundurus with the Volt Absorb, so I want Hidden Power Ice for Thundurus, and then he's also got Porygon with the Volt Absorb. That doesn't even need to be run specially defensively to stop this thing, because just with the Volt Absorb it means I can't go for the electric type attacks, and the coverage options are not good for Porygon. So this set I decided to go with Toxic, because being able to take away Seismitoad's passive recovery with leftovers would be really good, and Toxicking a Porygon would be amazing. It would then allow my Gourgeist to pretty much stall out a Porygon, so that would be a really good thing if I could get that Toxic on, and I think that that's a situation that's likely to happen. So yeah, Hidden Power Ice is there to hit the Thundurus. It does do good damage to Thundurus, and also to hit a Druddigon if it comes. Probably won't. If it does, I probably want to be more careful around it anyway, because it could have Sucker Punch. And then these EVs, basically, I didn't think that Schady would be running a max speed Crobat. If he was, it can't do too much to this Jolteon anyway, because I've gone with less speed and more bulk. I wanted a modest set because I just wanted that damage, and going for modest means I'm not going to be speed time with a max speed Crobat anyway, so I may as well take it down. This outspeeds a max speed Thundurus, and the rest is in bulk. So yeah, if he does bring a max speed Crobat, I can take a hit or two from it anyway, because this is actually quite a bulky Jolteon. It also means that I'm able to take hits from the Thundurus better, because base 95 special defense isn't awful, and I've got some HP investment, so I can potentially switch in on it. So that's the idea behind this Jolteon, and I was quite happy with it. Jolteon, again, it potentially could not do very much depending on the team that Schady brings, but at the same time, the Toxic on Porygon I think is actually the main thing I wanted to do, as well as forcing out Tail Glow Manaphy's. That's the main thing. The next thing I wanted to bring, I wanted Nidoqueen. I wanted Rocks because I want the residual on Thundurus. The sooner Thundurus goes down, the better, really. That is a big threat to my team. I don't know what set he might bring. He might bring Choice Scarf, because I think that outspeeds a rock-polished adamant Tyrantrum. So if he sticks, like, Focus Blast on there, he could easily check, even after I've set up a Tyrantrum. So that's something that he could bring. Alternatively, he could bring an Agility one or a Setup one, or he could bring an AV one to take on Jolteon a bit better and still to hit hard. I don't really know. But anyway, yeah, I bring Nidoqueen. This set is very bulky. I've got the Black Sludge there too. I want it to be a sort of switch in on some things. The things I'm worried about, maybe Thundurus, although Thundurus is still going to do a massive amount of damage, so probably not Thundurus, really, thinking about it. But also, the Skuntank. Skuntank could well be coming this week. It can Pursuit Trap my Jirachi, and the Poison and Dark coverage is pretty good against my team. I've also got my Gourgeist, so it will do a lot of damage to that. So I want Nidoqueen as a nice switch in there. It's got really good coverage, Earth Power for the Skuntank, Ice Beam to hit the Crobat, so I'm covering both defog options that he's got there. Ice Beam also hits the Thundurus, of course, and then Sludge Wave just in case he does bring Aromatisse. I don't think it's coming, but just in case he does, I've got the Sludge Wave there as well. I'm going for max special attack because I do want to still hit quite hard, and the speed is just so that if he does try to speed creep me with, say, Seismitoad, I've got a bit of creep myself, so I would potentially still outspeed him, basically, and the rest is an HP. So very bulky Nidoqueen this week. Next Pokemon is my removal option. I decided to go with Blastoise. Schady only has defog as a hazard removal option, so if I do get out my rocks, he'll be defogging away his own rocks as well, so I'm feeling like I don't need to be too cautious with my hazard removal. I don't need my Togekiss this week. So I went with Blastoise. I think Blastoise couldn't be really good. He doesn't have great Scald switch-ins. In fact, his only really solid one is the Seismitoad, and I am packing Hidden Power Grass for that, of course. So with this set, I'm thinking defensive Seismitoad is coming. If it's max HP, I stand a 50% chance, around a 50% chance to Oko with Hidden Power Grass. I think it might be slightly better. If he's not max HP, then it's an even better chance to Oko with Hidden Power Grass. So that's what I was thinking with this set. The Scald does massive damage to pretty much anything on his team. Obviously not Manaphy, but I've got Hidden Power Grass already, which hits it relatively hard. And the only other thing that I can't hit particularly well is, well, there are two things actually. There's Druddigon, but that would be scared of the Scald Burn. And then there's also Porygon, which I wanted Aurasphere for, because I've got nothing else to hit it super hard. So Aurasphere is there to really smack the Porygon. With the EVs, I've gone with enough speed to speed creep uninvested base 100s by 2 points, because I feel like he might be speed creeping my he might try to speed creep an uninvested Jirachi, which would take him to 121 with, say, Seismitoad, so that he could then get an Earth Power or something like that. If I'm an Iron Head Jirachi, he might want it as a switch in. I don't really know. And also it means that I would potentially outspeed a defensive Manaphy if he's just put the 4 speed into his 4 leftover EVs into his speed, so I want to try and speed creep that a little bit. So that is the Blastoise set, and I do quite like it. I think it could put in quite a lot of good work. I definitely think Seismitoad is coming. I think Porygon could well be coming, and Scald is just good in general, and then he's my spin. So yeah, that's my Blastoise. Next Pokemon, the thing that I'm really falling in love with this PPL season is the Talonflame. It's been really quite solid so far, and I really like it. So it's just the specially defensive set again, but I've put a little bit in speed just to make sure that I outspeed a jolly Skuntank with the Sucker Punch. I don't want to have to play around with that, so I will just outspeed it. And I've got the Brave Bird this time with the leftovers. There aren't really any knockoff users that I need to wall, so I felt like this set was the best one. There are opportunities to set up. The only things that I'm a little bit scared of, offensive Manaphy, and also obviously the Thunderous, which can switch in, but if I can get chip damage on that, that would be great. Now the final thing on my team is a Jirachi. I chose this because, again, Jirachi is more of a pivot switch momentum gainer here. It doesn't do massive amount of damage. Energy Ball is there for maybe a surprise KO on the Seismitoad. Flash Cannon is there just as a stab move to hit a lot of things. I thought that Skuntank would be coming. If I didn't think that, I would put Psychic on there probably, because it hits Lopunny better, and it hits like Crobat better, which is what this thing might be switching in on quite a lot. And I think that Psychic would be better, but I'm just a little bit too scared of the Skuntank, so I put Flash Cannon on. It also means that it hits Aromatisse harder if it does come, but I don't think it will. I've got the Colbur Berry just because I'm scared of being pursuit trapped by the Skuntank, and I want this thing to be around a little bit longer. But that's the Jirachi. Now, I think I need to just clarify some things as to why a couple of months didn't come. First of all, Tyrantrum, it is a big threat, and it would have chances to go for the head smash on things like Porygon, on things like maybe a Druddigon, on things like Skuntank potentially. It would have the opportunity to go for head smashes, but the issue is I would lose a lot of momentum because there is a Seismitoad, and that, like, I don't have amazing switch-ins for. I really don't. In fact, it's got a potentially got a super effective hit against everything, apart from maybe Gourgeist. It depends on the set that Schady brings. If it doesn't have Ice Beam, then Gourgeist is actually a really good switch-in, but I don't want to be in that position. And the Porygon can actually take a hit quite well. It can take a banded hit. It can only take one banded hit, but it can take a banded hit. And yeah, it's just, it doesn't have much setup opportunity, can't set up on very much at all. And then if it's a Scarf Thunderous, then he outspeeds a really rock polished up Adamant Tyrantrum anyway. I just felt like Tyrantrum would lose me more momentum. I'd get big hits off, but I would lose a lot of momentum. And with my team and with his like setup options with Manaphy, I need to make sure that I'm not giving up momentum to Schady too much. I really can't let that happen. So that's why Tyrantrum didn't come. The other big one that I really did consider was Hariyama. Now, Hariyama, it would have a lot of chances to do a lot of work as well. But the issue is, like, I would bring it mainly as a check to Manaphy. But the problem is, if it's a Tailglow Manaphy with Psychic, it just doesn't do that job. All it needs is like a tiny bit of chip damage, and then the Manaphy beats it. It just tail glows on the switch and Psychic kills. So I can't afford it to have any chip damage on at all. And Hariyama is slow. It is going to get chipped. Like it could be a good Porygon switching as well, but then I have to play around with predicting Crobat coming in or a resist coming in. So I felt like, again, Hariyama would potentially lose me a lot of momentum. If I predict right, then it could do some work, but even then, it's likely only going to get 1 KO and one or maybe 2. I might be underplaying it. I just felt like I wouldn't be able to play Hariyama that well in this match just because the team isn't geared towards it. If I had more like switch initiative options, then I think it could do more work. But I didn't bring the team to support Hariyama. I felt like this team was a safer team to bring. But we'll see what happens as we get into the battle. Okay, so here we are. This is the battle against Schady. Now, I need to say before we start, we had some issues with trying to battle on Wi-Fi. It just wasn't happening, so we switched to Showdown, and then I made a massive boo-boo, and I can't apologize enough. I feel so bad about it. But right, so what happened was we started, and I didn't realise that I had a level 100 Jirachi. I'm sure I checked, because every time I'm like, I even go to the efforts of telling the opponent sometimes, like, make sure everything is level 50, so I can't believe I made the mistake. And like, I looked at all my Pokemon, you can see it says level 50 all along the bottom. So I just assumed everything was level 50, and then it was just the Jirachi that wasn't. We only realised when, like, it was only turn 2 or 3, to I think turn 3, maybe turn 2, that that he Volt switched on it with the Thunderous, and it did like 10%, and it's not a bulky Jirachi, so that's when we realised. So we had to restart. The start of the battle, how it goes is, I'll show you it. I decided to lead with the Blastoise, just because it matches up relatively well against anything. The only thing that it doesn't really want to take on is the Thunderous, and I think that he might be leading with the Seismitoad, seeing no Tyrantrum, so he doesn't need to preserve it too much, and he wants to get up rocks. So that's what I felt would be coming out first. So let's just play, and we see that happens. He leads with the Seismitoad, and I lead with the Blastoise. This is a great situation to be in. I'm pretty sure my Blastoise will outspeed his Seismitoad, and as I said before, Hidden Power Grass, unless he's got a Rindo Berry or something weird, or he's specially defensive, which I don't think would be the case, my HP Grass stands at least 50% chance of KOing, if not more. So I'm just going to go for that. Now, in the first battle we did, it didn't KO, and he got a crit Grass Knot on my Blastoise. It only did like, it did a lot less than I thought it would. It did like 60%, but that chip damage would have been really useful for him. But as you can see in this match, I go for the Hidden Power Grass, and it kind of just takes out the Seismitoad, and I felt really, really bad about that. Literally the only difference is that Grass Knot. Everything else pretty much goes the same. But I felt really bad because if he had got that Grass Knot on, then obviously, if he got quick Grass Knot on, then obviously it would have been a big deal for him, because it would have been easier for him to kill my Blastoise. At the same time, I was pretty gutted that I hadn't KO'd in the first match, because I thought that the roll was probably in my favour, if anything. But yeah, that's how these things go, and I can only apologise to Schady. I do feel bad about that, and it would have been a different game. But anyway, we'll get on with it, because that just happened, and that's the thing that happened. It just happened, and it happened. Thunderous is going to come in now, which is what happened in the previous match when I did actually take down the Seismitoad turn 2. and he goes for the Volt Switch. I made this play into Jirachi last time as well, so I don't want to mess around going into Jolteon at this stage. He Volt Switches into the Skuntank. I'm scared I'm being pursuit trapped here, but he actually just goes for the Crunch, which is fine. Nidoqueen eats it up. I thought it would do more damage than that, but Nidoqueen really eats that up. And now I'm going to make a really stupid prediction, which I didn't need to make. I go for an Ice Beam, predicting something like Crobat to come in and try to spin straight away. Now, that was such an unnecessary prediction to make. I could have just put up rocks and seen what he wanted to do. The other thing that he might have done, though, was stay in with Skuntank and go for a Crunch, because he'll probably outspeed me. In fact, he definitely outspeeds me and would be able to 2-hit KO me from there. So that's something he could have done. My best play was really maybe going for an Earth Power, but probably Rocks. Rocks is probably the play there. If he wanted to make an aggressive prediction, he could have gone into his Thunderous to go for a Psychic type move, which might have taken me down from there if he's like Specs or something like that. But yeah, Rocks was probably my play there, because it would have meant that he'd had to get rid of them. He's got 2 things weak to Rocks, and it chips everything else, so it would have been a really nice play. But anyway, Duct Tape comes in, and yeah, you see that I go for an Ice Beam here, which does like 19%, which is a lot more than I thought it would. It means that this thing is definitely defensive, not especially defensive. And I'm just going to go into my Jirachi, because I feel like I will be able to wish up on this, unless it's offensive, which it's not, because that's the other thing it could have been. I'm going to throw up a Wish and just go for a Protect here to get my Rachi back up so that it can act as a pivot a bit more. Oh, you see Hidden Power here. I'm guessing that, like Shroom Raver in the previous match, it's probably Hidden Power Ground, thinking that I might be able to switch into Nidoqueen. And here you see the Dark Pulse. Now, Dark Pulse was an interesting play. I've got the Colbur Berry for Pursuit Trapping, and that doesn't happen. And I switched into my Nidoqueen, and I kind of forgot that this is a as I said before, this is an offensive Rachi. It's not a defensive Rachi, so the Wish is not a big wish. So Nidoqueen only gets a little bit of health back. I do get all the health back I need from losing that damage to the Hidden Power, and I can force out the Thunderous, as it doesn't seem to have Psychic on it, something like that, because that would have taken out Nidoqueen from there, I think. But I'm going to force it out with the Ice Beam. And again, here I could have just gone for the Stealth Rock, but I do go for the Ice Beam, and Schady makes a nice play going into the Manaphy here. I don't want to mess around too much, and I'm kind of scared about this. So I go into Jirachi, because this thing, Jirachi is kind of, I want to sack it, and I want to get Energy Ball damage off. That's what I want to happen here. Energy Ball does a decent amount, but that's HP invested, which scares me a little bit, because it is the defensive set, and I'm not, like, it could be really bad if it Carmines up a lot. So I need to be aware of that. I'm probably not playing this very well. It does actually have the Scold, which I was a little bit surprised about, because I thought that my Hariyama would scare him off from this set in general, but he did actually bring it, which is interesting. But I'm going to go for an Energy Ball, and thankfully Schady just takes me out here. I can now threaten it out with the Jolteon, which is fine, and that's good. And I know that I'm going to threaten him out. This thing is his Wing Con, and he can easily set up again later. His Rain's about to run out as well, so I'm going to go for a Toxic, predicting the Porygon. It gets Toxic, and that is great. Jolteon has done a massively good thing right there, and I go into my Gourgeist because I know that I will be able to take this on relatively well, and I can now set up Seeds or try for a Burn or something. What do I do? I can't remember. Do I just go for a Burn? I go for a Burn! Yes! I do go for a Burn, predicting the switch as the Bat comes in. And Bat, I now completely wall. I'm not scared about anything on this. So I'm just going to fire off another Wisp, predicting another switch. And I get that right too. And this is why I thought that Gourgeist would be good. I've got 3 things status, which is absolutely brilliant. And Aromatisse is not here. Now the Thunderous gets a crit Dark Pulse, but you can see the HP investment on my Jolteon really coming into play there, because another Dark Pulse will not take me out with my Jolteon. So that's great. I am going to go for a Hidden Power Ice here. I didn't feel the need to predict a Porygon switch, as he's getting whittled anyway, and I get a free switch into something else. I go into my Nidoqueen, and Porygon, that was not a free switch. And it was definitely not a free switch. I get flipping frozen by the flipping Duct Tape. So that was not ideal at all, because it now gives him free chance to recover with Porygon. I would have gone for Rocks here, and that would have put a lot of pressure on Schady. He's got a burned bat, which can't really defog very well. He could go in. I don't know if his Scun Tank is his defogger at this stage, though. I don't know, but he's not really going to be switching that in on a Nido Queen. So I'd have gained a lot of momentum. If he wanted to stay in and take me out with the Porygon, then he's basically sacking his Porygon at that stage, because I would have been able to get more damage on there. That freeze, I'd say, is quite big. I lost a lot of momentum here, and getting rocked up could have been massive. Getting rid of the Porygon at this stage would have been massive, or getting damage on anything else would have been really big. So I feel like this freeze was pretty bad. You'll see what happens now, because I'm frozen and he's going to recover and get back some health. Toxic will take him down a little bit too. But yeah, this is not ideal. And then the Tiki Sod goes into flipping Manaphy. So yeah, not cool at all. I am going to have to switch out at this stage because it's just not okay. I'm going to go into my Gourgeist, and I do unfortunately get burned as well. Really annoying, really annoying. It means I can't take on the Manaphy as well, but with Leech Seed and Seed Bomb, I actually still do a really decent chunk to his health. And if he wants to rest here, then that's fine, but I've got the Leech Seed on, so I'm not too scared about switching out at this stage, because a lot of things will be able to take the hits. I go into Blastoise, not brilliant, because the Thunderous comes out. I don't know if Schady was predicting a switch there or not. I'm going to go into my Talonflame, predicting not an electric type move, but I could take it anyway. Let's just say that was planned. I'm not necessarily making all the right plays here, but interestingly, Schady brings in his Porygon, and I can set up on Porygon. Like, Porygon is not a switching on this Talonflame at all. It really isn't. Manaphy was the play there. This thing, like, it can't do too much to me either. If he wants to go for a hidden power ground, oh, he can't go for a hidden power ground now. I'm whittling the Thunderous, and at some stage, my Talonflame will hopefully be able to set up on that Porygon. That's definitely a winning situation there. That could very much materialize. I sack my Nidoqueen here. It's not going to do anything. It's frozen. Bloody hell. And this chance I need to go into my Jolteon. It's my really only check to the Thunderous at this stage. I do make a prediction going into Blastoise on the switch out. I take a crunch to the face, and at this stage, this is where the crit on the crit Grass Knot at the beginning on the Blastoise, which happened in the previous game but not in this one, comes into play. Because at this stage, Blastoise would have been on like very little, very little health. I think I can't remember how much the crit Grass Knot actually did, but I do get massive damage on the Skuntank. Unfortunately, no burn. If I got the burn there, then it would have been really nice, because the Sucker Punch wouldn't threaten me as much. I don't think that would. It might still KO my Jolteon. I'm not sure, but it means that Gourgeist almost won. I would just need to get rid of this, and this could still definitely be a problem. But yeah, that was interesting. I'm just going to go for another Scold as Batman comes in, and I think I just stay in and kill it. Blastoise is not going to take much damage from that at all. It's just so bulky, and it does its job really nicely. It would be dead by now if it was in this previous game. This turn, that turn. Did you see that turn? Right. This turn was all kinds of crazy. First of all, Schady, why did you switch in your Manaphy on my Blastoise? Because I feel that was I was 2 points off outspeeding you. I'm pretty sure. I was like, this is a defensive Manaphy. He said at the end, and it's completely my fault with the speed creep. I didn't realise that I should. I'm so annoyed at myself for this. So annoyed. If I put in like a couple of extra speed points, then my Blastoise outspeeds Adamant Tyrantrum, which is the thing that he was speed creeping, which, I'm so annoyed at myself. So all I needed was 2 extra speed points for this to be a completely irrelevant crit. But because I didn't have those speed points, this crit was kind of big. But I think Schady, that was a really weird play going into this thing. Although I suppose at this stage, No, you should have gone into Thunderous, I think. That was a really risky play, because if I did outspeed you, you just lost. You just lost. But I get the crit, and I'm really sorry. You didn't just lose there because you actually were lucky enough. Well, not lucky enough. I just prepared badly enough, and that wasn't an issue. But the crit doesn't save my ass in terms of the whole game, but it does mean that I have an easier time because this thing is going to be a massive threat. Schady would have been in a much better position, and I would have had to really struggle to get back from a max health Manaphy being around. But yeah, I thought that was a weird play, and I'm really sorry for the crit as well. Really sorry. It does balance out with the freeze, I think. I'm not sure if they're equally as bad as each other. I don't really know how things would have played out, but I don't think either of them were like, if that didn't happen, then I'd have won. I don't think either of them are like that. But it would definitely have been a good thing for Schady if that didn't happen. I'm just so annoyed at myself with the speed creep, though. I'm literally... I'm sure I'm like 2 points off outspeeding this Manaphy, and I'm so annoyed at that because if I outsped, as I say, it would have mattered. I was doing about 45% with Aura Sphere, so it would have been an easy 2-hit KO. I'm just frustrated that it came that had to be a situation that happened. If I just prepared better, it wouldn't have mattered at all. So that's the one thing that I'm taking away from this match. I'm really sorry, Schady. I feel like I screwed him over so badly. But then he did get the freeze. Anyway, let's carry on. So I take out the Manaphy, and Blastoise is looking really good. I'm actually going to save it because I do want to have the Aura Sphere around for Porygon. It just is an easier way of taking it down. I switch into my Gourgeist here, which is able to take a flipping crunch and burn damage. And then Schady predicts maybe the Shadow Sneak to take him out with the Life Orb damage, but I don't actually go for it. I just go for a Leech Seed. I think that was a weird play because I think he could probably have taken a Burn, Shadow Sneak, and a Sucker Punch, but I didn't do the calc, so maybe he did the calc and saw actually Burn, Shadow Sneak, and Life Orb would be enough to take out my Skuntank. I don't really know. But I get the Leech Seed on the Skuntank, and I'm able to survive because... Gourgeist is such a man. And then I'm just going to go for another Leech Seed here to be able to get health back. And I think that he's going to recover here because he needs to recover to stay in the game. So I'm just going to go into my Blastoise predicting that. Because he's got the Leech Seed on, it was a slightly safe switch as well. So I'm going to go for an Aura Sphere here. Nothing can really switch on that at this stage. Doesn't quite take out the Porygon, but I do survive, and the Leech Seed comes in there to take out Porygon. So that's pretty good. I'm paralyzed at this stage, so Blastoise is not going to be doing anything, so I can sack it here and then get a switch into the Jolteon, I believe. So I can go to Jolteon. I will be able to take it out with a Hidden Power Ice from there. Burn would have taken it down anyway, so that's to kill the Jolteon, and I am able to finish this up with a Brave Bird from my Talonflame. Even if he's Jolly, I can take him out because I outspeed a Jolly Skuntank. So after that match, there's a close 2-0. I can't believe that Gourgeist made it to the end. I love Gourgeist. Gourgeist is I love it. Can't get enough of Gourgeist. Really happy. Anyways, yeah. This battle was messy. The whole situation was messy with the mistake I made before and it actually helping me out, and I feel really bad about that. And then the hacks was it happened on both sides and it was not cool. And then I was just really annoyed at the end. I won and I was really happy that I won, but I was just really annoyed that there was hacks and there was a crit and that I could I don't feel like I can own this victory because the game would have been so vastly different. But I mean, you can say that about any game really. If the RNG was slightly different, then that wouldn't have happened in any game. There could have been whatever. But I'm just annoyed because I know that with slightly better prep, with slightly more speed creep on my Blastoise, that wouldn't have even been a situation. So that's the only thing that's annoying me, that I could have completely negated any question and I could have just won this straight. That's the only thing. So yeah, But it's a good victory. It means that we are number 1. Again, Mewcastle United, the only undefeated team in this league now. So very happy about that. And thank you for a really good battle, Schady. It was such a challenge. And I felt a bit out of my depth, to be honest, because obviously with all your experience, with your crazy good draft, yeah, it was really tough. Really tough. Thanks for the great battle. I do really enjoy battles like that. You have to think all the time. You have to make the plays. You have to make doubles. You have to do all of this. The prep has to be on point. I think my prep was just so close to being there. It was so close to being there. Yeah, you can tell that I'm frustrated with myself, even though it was a win. I know that I can do better. I can do better. And in matches like that, when you're playing against the best people, you should be doing your best. You should be doing your best, and I felt like I wasn't. But then again, I'm sure Schady will feel like he didn't do his best either, because I think that he could have outplayed me as well. So it was a great battle. I'm not saying anything against it. I think this is probably the best competitive battle that I have had yet. It almost definitely is the best competitive battle that I've had yet. The only issue is that the hacks came into it, and it kind of leaves a bad taste in the mouth. But I'm going to stop talking now because it's a victory. I need to just take it, be happy, move on. Mewcastle United, we are carrying on this thing. Really appreciating you guys' support. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Fufu, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.